Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be dissecting the clam for you. I'm first going to start off by talking about the outside of the shell. So I'm going to first show you guys towards the back here. You will see the hinges of the shell that allows it to open and close. And you'll notice that the top and bottom shell have these two bumps that are known as the ombo. Okay, so this is considered to be the very top of the shell. These bumps, the ombo, this is actually the oldest part of the shell. Okay, this is where the growth of the shell actually started at. Okay, so you can see all these growth rings over time. More and more layers of calcium carbonate are being secreted by the mantle, and you get more and more growth all the way to this outer boundary of the shell here. This is the youngest part of the shell. Okay, so the ombo. And then I wanted you guys to see, looking at the shell like this, you see that both sides are not very even. This side is the shorter side, and this side on the other side here is longer. Okay, this tells you something. This is telling you the shorter side is the anterior or front part of the clam. Okay, this other side that's longer is actually the posterior, the back side of the clam. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is open up the clam and show you inside the feature, all the organs and structures inside the clam. I actually had to take my clam knife here and sever the adductor muscles. Okay, the clams have two adductor muscles, and they are big, thick muscles, big, thick pieces of meat on both sides of this clam. So you see one right here. I'll use my forceps. Big chunk right here, and then another, I cut it in half. You can see it right here. So the adductor muscle attaches to the bottom shell and the top shell, as you could see here. And when these muscles contract, it helps close the shells nice and tight. Okay, this is going to protect the clam from its environment. It protects the soft tissue inside. Okay, then of course when the muscles relax, the shell opens up. Okay, if you look at the inside layer, the inside lining of the shell at the top and bottom shell, you will see that there is this thin tissue layer. This is the mantle. So it's right here, and you can see it here on the bottom shell as well. Okay, so you guys know that valve and shell mean the same thing in this context. So that's why they're called bivalves, because they have two shells, they have two valves. Okay, so this is the class of mollusk with two shells. Another way to figure out the anterior and posterior portion of the clam and know the top shell from the bottom shell, because they do look very similar, you will see this big, thick structure right here, this muscular structure right here. This is called the foot. Okay, so the clam will stick the foot out. We talked about how they are able to move or either dig into the sand by sticking out this muscular foot and using it to sort of paddle along the seafloor. Okay, this foot is actually located more anterior to the front. Okay, so that makes sense because when it moves, it's going to move in this direction. Okay, where its anterior front side is at. Okay, directly opposite to the foot at the posterior end, and I accidentally cut it in half when I was cutting the adductor muscle, but you will see that the siphon tube is located here. Okay, so this is the siphon tube. Okay, the clams will stick this out to bring water inside the shell so that they can filter feed and conduct respiration, so that they can, the gills can get the oxygen from the water. Okay, they're filter feeders, they're bottom feeders, so they have this structure here to pull the water into the shell. Okay, if you get a better look at it here, you can see it has two openings. Okay, one is the inhalant tube to let water in, and the other one is the exhalant tube to let water out after it's done filtering it. Okay, I'm going to say that this is for orientation's sake, this is the right side here, the right adductor muscle. Right next to it, you'll see these very thin, feathery looking structures right here. There's two of them. And they are striated. That means that they have these lines all the way down them. Okay, these are the gills. Okay, so they use this for respiration. The gills are designed to absorb oxygen from the water. Okay. Over here, more anterior, these two structures right here, these two flaps, these are the labial palps. Okay? This is, so when the clam brings water in via the siphon tube, there's mucus and cilia inside on the tissue that traps nutrients, okay, from the water. And so these labial palps kind of move and sweep that trapped food into its mouth opening, which is buried right underneath. The palps are it's kind of hard to see. They're the mouth opening is very small, but I'm going to use my scissor to point at it. It's right there in between and underneath the labial palps. Okay, so that's where food enters as it's being swept up by the labial palps. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the gills so we can see something a little bit better. This right here is known as the visceral mass. It's basically this capsule that holds all of these important organs important for digestion as well as reproduction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scissors to cut it open. I'm going to take one blade of my scissor, I'm going to insert it in and just cut. What I like to do is make just a little bit of an opening. And I'm just going to use my forceps to peel it open so we could view what's inside this visceral mass. Okay, when you cut this, you want to make sure your cut is pretty superficial. You don't want to cut too deep into it so you don't damage the organs inside. So what I do is I just really hold on tight to the forceps. I'm just going to peel it open just like that. Just going to put that right there. So the first thing you're going to see sitting right on top of all these other organs is this light colored, almost yellowish looking tissue right here, and it's very soft. Okay, these are the gonads. These are the reproductive cells, okay, of the clam. So these are, remember, reproduction is external for the clams. They will release these out into the water where fertilization will take place. Okay, so if we remove the gonads and we kind of dig past this, you'll see this green substance. This green substance is from the digestive gland. So the digestive gland is actually analogous to the liver. It basically releases digestive enzymes into the gut to aid in digestion. So I'm going to cut further behind here to see if we can see more organs. Being careful not to cut too deep. Okay, excellent, I found it. So right here, towards the back, I'm just going to remove some more tissue. You'll notice this tube right here, I just accidentally removed it, but the tube is part of the gut. Basically, it's the intestinal tube that absorbs nutrients from the food. And it actually, strangely enough, it actually runs through the heart of the clam. This is the heart of the clam. Okay, so that intestinal tube goes through the heart. This heart is actually part of an open circulatory system. So the way this works is that this heart will pump fluid that's rich in nutrients all throughout the clam's tissue so that the cells can receive the nutrients and oxygen that it needs. Okay, but there are no veins, there are no blood vessels involved in this. Okay, that's why it's called open circulatory system. So you can see that this heart has some holes on it. There's a hole opening right here. So it pumps out fluid that it obtains from the water to ensure that all the cells of the soft tissue receives it. Okay, so here's the heart. And then this is part of this is the rest of that intestinal tube right here. It's greenish looking. Probably has digested food in it. Okay, and this tube is going to continue along here and basically empty any waste out into the siphon tube. Now remember, the other opening called the exhalant tube will release all the waste from the food as well as carbon dioxide waste from respiration back out into the water. Okay, so they are very important filter feeders. They are literally cleaning the ocean water. Okay, that's going to be it with a clam dissection. Thank you for watching.